Well, tonight, ECG board terminates 202 non-performing supply contract worth $227 million, with 145 contracts still under scrutiny and could face termination if found to also be non-performing.
Approved the outright termination of 202 of these contracts. The total value of these contracts is estimated at 227 million United States dollars, 1.17 million pounds, 4.08 million euros.
Tonight, we examine details of all of these and ask relevant questions by speaking to people who really understand the sector and who have some answers to provide here on Top Story, brought to you by Telecel Connecting Energies. My name is Samuel Kojo Brace. Well, tonight, Energy Minister John Jinapong has confirmed the termination of 202 non-performing contracts by the board of ECG, amounting to some $227 million, along with additional amount in pounds and euros. John Jinapong says the move is part of a broader effort to clean up the energy sector and boost accountability. He added that his ministry has also introduced performance targets across management levels and recently rolled out a new billing system called Zeus to replace the previous flawed setup. According to the sector minister, ECG has now restored all commercial operations and improved its billing process.
If you compare this year to last year in terms of expenditure, we're spending about 30% or 40% of what was spent in 2024 when it comes to procurement. And we are achieving better results with value for money and ensuring that we adhere to strict procurement procedures and processes. And I'm very happy that we are bringing about all this efficiency in the sector, because the gains we make would be transferred to the ordinary consumer. I can assure you that we are not going to witness the kind of procurements we witnessed over the years. And as minister, I take full responsibility to ensure that they adhere strictly to some of these measures. So far, 347 supply contracts that have failed to deliver goods within the specific areas are up for review. The goods in these containers were not part of the materials locked up at the ports. These are new containers coming up following procurements that were undertaken previously. They are yet to be delivered. The ECG board has approved the outright termination of 202 of these contracts. The total value of these contracts is estimated at 227 million United States dollars, 1.17 million pounds, 4.08 million euros. The remainder of the 145 contracts are being subjected to additional strict scrutiny and may be terminated depending on the findings. We are determined to ensure that we clean the sector.
Well, John Jinapong also indicated that his ministry is currently reviewing 145 energy sector contracts that remain under strict scrutiny after terminating 202 non-performing deals. This remaining contracts are being assessed for their value and impact and could be cancelled based on the outcome of the review process that this is undergoing. Listen to the Energy Minister again.
We are not out of the woods in its entirety, but at least we are seeing significant progress. And if we continue on this trajectory, I'm confident that this sector will see real improvement. Under the instructions of His Excellency the President, I've been directed to review the cash waterfall mechanism allocation to increase efficiency, transparency, and equity in its operations. We are making some additional savings, and we want to ensure that those savings are applied in a judicious and efficient manner to bring about overall efficiency in the sector. I'm happy to note that as a result of these policy interventions, ECG's monthly revenues is witnessing some significant increase. This increase represents about 47.3% increment as compared to same period last year. And so as you can see, we're seeing some real significant increase in revenues. But because of the huge challenges and the debt that we encountered, we need to pursue additional policy measures to ensure that we put the power sector on an even keel.
So that is the energy minister. And he spoke about an array of issues that confront the energy sector, as well as debt in the sector. You all know that the government has today introduced the 1 Ghana cedi per liter of fuel in order to help it defray the debt in the energy sector, and that has also generated its own issues. Now, the energy minister said the electricity company of Ghana, for example, is burdened with a massive 67 billion Ghana cedis debt, despite the state receiving over 45 billion in SLR events. Now, the sector, he said, is grappling with unplanned liquid fuel cost due to rising demand and aging infrastructure, prompting the reintroduction of the D-levy to create dedicated funding for fuel purchase. I mean, and this morning you've seen the discussions about this particular 1 Ghana cedi per liter levy that a lot of people classify as the levy. I mean, it's been here. The government says it is being used to deal with the energy sector debt and also to buy liquid fuel. We'll be listening to the energy minister talk about the debt of the ECG and what they plan or what they intend doing to deal with it. Now, he's been speaking as part of this particular deliberation in painting the picture about the sort of debt the energy sector or ECG is confronted with. We'll be speaking to the energy ministry itself to understand what is going on. Again, we'll be speaking to past government officials to understand what the issues are. This is the top story on Joy 99.7 FM. All right, this is still Top Story brought to you by Telecel Connect and Energies. Let's bring in Richmond Roxon, who is spokesperson and head of comms at the Energy Ministry. Richmond, I'm grateful to you for joining us here. Now, let's understand. The minister says ECG is owing a lot of money. He put it at 67 billion Ghana cedis debt. Tell us more about it.
Good evening, Brace, and thank you for the opportunity. Yes. As the minister rightly captured, there are several indebtedness that you attribute to ECG, from purchasing of power and suppliers as well, and then when it comes to ancillaries, you would notice that if you have a company that over the period has acquired over 2,500 worth of goods sitting there, and these are non-essential goods, definitely the company will have the challenges that it's had over the period. What the ministry has done through the leadership of the minister is to rationalize some of these things and then ensure that some of the causes of ECG's indebtedness are dealt with.
So what are the main causes or contributors to this debt?
As I mentioned, one, they owe suppliers. If you have over 2,500 containers sitting there and you keep purchasing non-essential goods, definitely you're going to owe. So they've purchased cables, they're not using, they've purchased materials, they're not using. Some till 2050, in fact, from 15 years from now, even if they use them judiciously, they'll still have excess inventory. So these are some of the procurement practices that have brought us where we are.
Now, he talks about some 347 supply contracts that have failed to deliver goods with specific areas up for review. Now, how long have these containers been in town and what do they contain?
Oh, these are not containers. Like Minister said, these are separate from the goods and equipment that have been sitting there. So these are entirely new goods. The ECG awarded contractors to these suppliers or these service providers, and upon review by ECG and its board, it was realized that either they didn't deliver on time, or they delivered substandard goods. And a decision has been made by ECG and its board to terminate these agreements in accordance with the terms of the contract.
And when you terminate, what happens?
Of course, once you go through the legal process and there's a breach. In fact, let me just take you back. Every contract will have obligations or terms. You look at your terms and your covenants. If there's a breach, you look at the consequences of the breach. One of the options available is termination. So if you have a contract with someone, the person does not perform the obligation he or she has, you have the option of terminating. If you terminate the contract in accordance with the terms and conditions of the contract, definitely you are safe. If you do something out of the terms, that is when you are in trouble. And you rest assured that the ministry supervision and the brief that we have from the management and the board, these agreements were terminated in accordance with the terms of the contract.
Okay. Stay with me. Let me bring in Collins Adumakun. He is Deputy Ranking on Parliament's Energy Committee. He is a former Deputy Minister of Energy. Mr. Adumakun, I'm grateful to you for joining us here. Now, why was ECG giving out contract to purchase items that, according to the ministry, you already had in stock? Why was that? What management style was that?
So that would be a difficult question for me to answer. I did not manage it. I got to the ministry, I think, about 6 months to the end of our term. And so it will be a very difficult question for me to answer why ECG signed certain contracts. But I listened to the minister, and the reasons for the termination are non-performance. And as my friend Roxanne said, every contract comes with obligations. And once one party to the contract fails to meet some aspect of its obligation, I think the other party has the right to terminate on the basis of the terms of the contract. So I don't have any problem at all if the board and management of ECG, after reviewing contracts that have been signed, come to the conclusion that because of non-performance, they are terminating the contract. That is well within their rights to do so on the basis of the terms of the contract. And as I said previously, any efforts or reforms within ECG that to make it more efficient, we as a minority, we don't intend to be a disruptive minority. We intend to support the minister to achieve this aim.
But during your time as a deputy minister, I'm sure you came across some of these issues at ECG where they were still giving out contract for people to import items that they already had in stock.
The difficulty is that, and I'm sure Roxanne can tell you, we don't need to manage ECG. ECG contracts do not come to the ministry for approval. They go through, we have a board, and they go through their processes. It's as and when they exceed a certain level that they might probably come to the ministry for a discussion. But whilst I was there, personally, within the 6 months that I was there, this particular issue did not come to my attention personally. But I'm saying that the practice has been that we don't see the ministry micromanaging the ECG. But if procurement breaches occurred and the new government has identified those procurement breaches, I think they are well in their right to help correct it. And as a minority, as I said, we are prepared to support them in that regard.
So if you say you're prepared to support, do you have any intention to intervene in this? To play any role to get this matter resolved?
Why should we intervene?
No,
if two parties go into a contract, one fails to perform a certain obligation under the contract, one party to the contract decides to trigger a remedial clause under the contract. Why do you want the minority to intervene. If we are doing so in accordance with the terms of the contract, they are well within their right.
Okay, what I intended to ask was, would you intend dragging the ministry to understand the details of this? Because it's quite staggering if you listen to the details.
No, that shouldn't be a problem. I mean, Parliament has the right to call the minister for further details. That shouldn't be a problem. You can trigger by a question or by inviting the minister. And let me say that anytime we have extended that invitation to the minister, he has always honored the invitation. And so that shouldn't be a problem.
With your experience as a deputy minister, now as a deputy ranking on Parliament's Energy Committee, you understand the challenges in the sector. One of them is ECG. How do we make ECG efficient going forward?
I have always argued that there's a need to bring in a private player. I'm not for privatization, but I'm for private participation. And if you recall, the manifesto of the NPP also indicated that if we had won power, we would have gone further to bring in a private player, at least at the retail end of the ECG's operations. This morning, listening to the minister, I heard him say that PDS in itself was not a bad idea. I think it was confronted with some challenges. So if you want to bring in a private player to help improve the efficiency of ECG, I'm all for it, my brother. I'm all for it. ECG, of course, over the years has been one of the challenging agencies under the Energy Ministry because they deal directly with the consumer. Of course, they have their own issues. I mean, we met ECG, and I'm sure Roxanne can confirm, one of the major challenges ECG was having has to do with exchange rates. I mean, as you know, they purchase in dollars and they sell in cedis. So anytime the exchange rate, the CD is depreciating, there's a problem. So I'm happy that we are seeing some gains within the exchange rate situation. I'm hopeful that ECG's next balance sheet should have a reflection of this exchange losses that we used to have, or a reduction of it. And so I'm all for it. Any measures that is geared towards making ECG more efficient. I'm happy that the minister reported that the cash water flow mechanism is improving, and that the amount of money they are collecting into the cash water flow mechanism has inched up significantly. That has a direct effect on the commercial loss. What it means that they are collecting more. That is good news. So all the efforts that they are putting in place, that is pushing them to have that kind of increase in revenue to be sustained. And as I said, as a minority, we'll do everything to support that process.
But if you look at the challenges that we've had with the ECG over the years, as you say, you were not micromanaging ECG, but do you think it's time we consider that so that the ministry could have some, better oversight of the company to save it from, taking on all of these debts that we have to spend years to then defray?
Well, I think I'm not for micromanagement, but situations can arise where new strategies may be adopted. I don't think the minister has to go to ECG every day to check on operational matters or to check on what has happened. Maybe a rigorous reporting line may be instituted so that at the end of every week or every 2 weeks, we have management briefing the minister on progress of work done so far. That I can suggest, but I don't think that it's proper for the minister to have to, as it were, micromanage ECG.
Do stay with me. Let me bring in Richard Roxon again, Richmond Roxon. Rich, I mean, you said you've rolled out a new billing system called Zeus. How does it address the failures of the previous system? And, I mean, has it already shown some measurable improvement in revenue collection? Because that is one of the challenges confronting the ECG.
Let me start from where Honorable Collins ended. The truth of the matter is that, yes, no one is interested in micromanaging ECG. And the current energy minister has consistently made that point to them. And he's even told the board that he is not interested in their day-to-day management. As a government, his role as a ministry is for policy direction. But we must also not lose sight of the fact that the ministry is the direct supervisor of ECG. And as such, it is important that you put in measures to ensure that some of these practices we've seen in the past do not happen. In fact, the minister has made a number of directives since he assumed office. One of the directives that the minister made to ECG and its management is to ensure that non-essential goods are not procured, so that what we've seen in the past, where you have several containers come up, does not exist anymore. Another policy direction that the minister has asked ECG is that moving forward, the FOB type of contract will not work. What will happen is that if ECG signs a contract with any supplier, the goods must be delivered to the doorstep of ECG. So you take the goods to ECG's warehouse. We don't have the practice where you leave the goods at the port and then you come for your money and then you have demurrage accruing. If we look at ECG's cost when it comes to demurrage now, as we speak, like the minister mentioned today, would have to deal with the Minister of Finance to try as much as possible to get tax exemptions for some of the goods that are sitting at the port today. And all these could have been done previously to ensure that the problems that ECG is facing today does not compound or does not get to this level. Another thing the minister has done is that the ministry is not interested in how ECG awards contract or its procurement processes once you are going in accordance with law. But every quarter, furnish the ministry with your procurement and what has been done so that the ministry can keep tabs on the things that ECG is procuring, whether they are procuring non-essential goods, whether they are procuring equipment that they don't need. The minister will be able to check that. For example, you can't have over 2,500 containers sitting there and you don't have a single meter in any of those containers. You cannot have over 2,500 containers sitting and then you don't have a single transformer in all these containers. Yet you have things that you don't need, but everyday items that you would need as an institution, you have none available. And all these things go back to the supervision of the ministry. And to clarify what Honorable also said, the minister's point today was that the NDC as a government has not been against introduction of PSP or private sector participation in ECG. The government's policy is that it will not sell ECG. That is out. And that has been the position of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama and the current energy minister when he was deputy power minister in 2015. And you will recall that the process that led to the selection of PDS started at a time under the Compact 2, where the U.S. through MEDA gave some money to the government of Ghana, about $500 million United States dollars. Unfortunately, when they came to government, like the minister said, because of selfishness and greed, all the terms that they have put in place to ensure that you have credible companies across the world that had expressed interest in ECG come and assist with it, they changed those rules. Eventually, they insisted. Most of these companies pulled out, and you had just 2 companies left. There were 3.
If you say they insisted, what do you mean?
No, they changed the rules. As I said, the guidelines for these processes were there. You can go back to the Compact 2.
But didn't they do that together with the MCC?
You said didn't they do that together?
With the agency that was responsible for that
No,
particular
it was being managed by MEDA in Ghana.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, what the government did was to change the rules and the guidelines, which led to a lot of credible companies leaving. Eventually, they were left with 3 companies. The government took BXC out, was left with 2, and then they awarded to the Meraldo Consortium, which gave birth to PDS. And you would all recall the audio where people were sharing or they were discussing shareholding and then trying to keep more. And that is what the minister has said, that approach will not be used. This will be transparent. you ensure that the original processes that commenced in 2015, that will be done. You have concessionaires. It's encouraging Ghanaians to come in so that at the end of the day, you have ECG improve its billing and collection.
Okay. Now, as you say, ECG was procuring items that, the company did not need. Is there any consideration for some heads to roll then, if they were buying items that they didn't need, just adding on to the debt the company was incurring?
The truth of the matter is that investigations have been ongoing. The ministry referred this matter to NIB, Yoko, and also the police service. Work has been ongoing. I know very for sure that the former MD's caution statement has been taken already, together with some staff. Some senior staff were asked to step aside some time back. We are relying squarely on NIB and the Office of the Attorney General to investigate and prosecute. The ministry does not have prosecutorial powers. And under Article 88 of our Constitution, it's only the Attorney General that will be able to initiate prosecutions. And that is where we are. The ministry is following up, engaging the Office of the Attorney General and the Security Services to ensure that these procurement breaches are dealt with.
But has the new app, the Zeus app, shown any improvement in revenue collection?
Absolutely. If you look at the last 3 months, one was done in record time. The transition was done within 3 months. As we speak, revenues have gone up. If you look at the updates the minister gave not too long ago, if you compare the period from last year, January to June, and you compare it with the same period, revenues have gone up by about 47%, which is significant. And it is not only because of the billing up, it's because of the commitment shown by the minister, the management, and the board. For the first time in the history of this country, the minister has signed performance contracts with the current management.
Okay.
The management has also signed performance contracts with regional and district management. They are all motivated to ensure that they deliver results. Because if you don't meet your performance contracts, there are consequences. And that has also motivated them to put in more effort. And the results are showing.
All right, I'm grateful to you, Richmond Roxon. He is spokesperson and head of comms for the Energy Ministry, for speaking to us. Also grateful to you, Collins Adomako. He is a former Deputy Minister of the Energy Ministry and Deputy Ranking on Parliament's Energy Committee. This has been Top Story. Up next is Newsnight.
Good evening and welcome to News 9. We're live on Joy 99.7 FM in Accra, Love 99.5 FM in Kumasi, and on over 30 affiliates across the country. Well, coming up tonight, Minority calls for heads to roll in Ablekuma chaos, demands immediate dismissal of YEA CEO Malik Basintale, and Minerals Development Fund boss Hannah Bisu for celebrating the turmoil that occurred during the election rerun.
President Mahama must immediately dismiss Dr. Hannah Louisa Bisu from her position as CEO of the Minerals Development Fund and Malik Basintale from his role as acting CEO of the Youth Employment Agency.
Well, the minority has also criticized the Ghana Police Service for the chaos that marred the Ablekuma North rerun.
The Ghana Police Service's response raises serious questions about their preparedness and commitment to protecting our electoral process.
Also tonight, the minority wants a full-scale investigations into the chaos in Ablekuma North.
We warned that, contrary to the government claim that this D-levy, will not increase fuel prices, it will increase fuel prices by 8% from day one.
That's the minority saying, "We told you so." They have called prophecy as fuel prices soar almost 10% following the implementation of the 1 Ghana cedi levy. And coming up in business.
And of course, the Monetary Policy Committee of the Bank of Ghana set to hold an emergency meeting tomorrow. The decision set to be announced this Friday.
And this was Black Satellite advanced to the semi-finals of the ongoing WAFU B Under-20 tournament. We'll bring you details on it shortly.
And later in the bulletin, we'll bring you the story of Bright Ewisi, who is a young man whose dream of starting married life in a new home was shattered after he was duped of over 18,000 Ghana cedis.
So I got there, I'm like, oh, Pachomi, Mr. Eno. Then a guy looked at me and like, who is Mr. Eno? I had a movie house. That very moment, I went to Mile 7 police station.
At a bit later, President John Mahama's Ghana Senior High School grabs second chance opportunity to secure nationals spot to keep qualification record intact. We have the latest of these and many other stories coming up tonight. My name is Kenneth. Gyasi, details after this.
Big money day, where too much money day. Telecel too much money promo drop. If you dial *500#, then join them for the Telecel too much money promo inside. You will win 100 Ghana cedis cash for the daily draws, 20,000 Ghana cedis for the weekly draws, then 1.2 million Ghana cedis for the grand draw inside. That be 1.2 million Ghana cedis. You for just reload airtime, then get points where we make you win. Make you dial *500# or go the Telecel Play App top. Then book inside riders give the Telecel too much money promo. Terms and conditions apply.
Telecel, connecting energies.
This promo will be NLA where they regulate them for the Caritas Lottery platform top.
Couldn't sleep at night. Mosquitoes will be whining my ears, bugging me all night long. Till I got a remedy. Now I'll be spraying them away with holy insecticide spray. I go spray them away with holy insecticide spray. When I sleep, me da with holy insecticide spray.
Holy mosquito coil, holy multi-purpose insecticide spray. Ghana Kron Kron. For bulk purchase, call 0302 681582. This advert is FDA approved.
Strong, creative, enthusiastic. My name is Jojo and I got the Blue Jeans vibe. On Fridays, after a long, stressful week, my colleagues and I just pop a chilled, tasty can of Blue Jeans energy drink and we are ready to take the whole town by storm. During Saturday morning soccer with the boys or Sunday or Mutual special with the family, Blue Jeans does the trick again.
My name is Arapa and I got that Blue Jeans vibe. During a long day of shopping and catching up with the girls, Blue Jeans keeps us refreshed and happy. When studying for an exam, Blue Jeans is the companion throughout the long nights.
It's great for sportsmen and women and people with an active lifestyle. It's just amazing. For bulk purchases, contact Budget Cash and Carry Limited on 0208 128 190 or 0550 010 000. Excessive drinking can be detrimental to your health. Not recommended for persons under 18 years, pregnant women, and lactating mothers. The advert is FDA approved.
This August, thousands of pastors, believers, ministers, and seekers from across the world gather in an atmosphere of powerful teaching, worship, and impartation. A divine encounter that will shift your ministry.
It shall come to pass that if thou shalt hearken diligently to the voice of the Lord, which is the leading of the Holy Spirit, the Lord will set thee on high.
The Give Thyself Holy Conference with Bishop Dagiwood Mills is here with us again. Block out those dates. Tuesday the 5th to Friday the 8th of August 2025 at the Anakazu campus, Mampong, Equiapem. Why would you miss this? Visit GiveThyselfHolyConference.com or call +233 531 611 975 or +233 599-776767 to register now. The Give Thyself Holy Conference 2025, 5th to the 8th of August at the Anakazu campus. This is your moment, your mission, your call. Be there.
I warned you, Elation. The river which fills up before our eyes does not sweep us away in its flood.
From the stables of April Communications, the National Theatre and Image Bureau comes the pinnacle of African theatre.
No. My powers deserted me.
No, child. It is what you brought to be.
Wole Soyinka's timeless classic, Death and the King's Horseman. Live at the National Theatre, Saturday 23rd, Sunday 24th, Saturday 30th, and Sunday 31st August at 4 p.m. and 8 p.m. each day. Tickets selling now for only 200 cedis standard and 300 cedis VIP at www.imagebureaugh.com or dial star 714*46#. Don't miss this epic tale of destiny and courage. Supported by Neplant Car Rentals, Ghana Tourism Authority, and Joy FM. Sponsors: Stanbic Bank, The Luckiest, Bill Savings and Loans, and proudly brought to you by MTN.
Welcome to the program. You can join the conversation on our WhatsApp platform is 055 11 11 997. Let's begin from Parliament because the minority in the House is demanding the immediate dismissal of Youth Employment Agency CEO Malik Basintali and Minerals Development Fund boss Hannah Bisu over what they say is their glorification of the chaos that occurred during the Ablekuma North election rerun last Friday. It will be recalled that a number of polling stations in Ablekuma North were rocked with violence, leading to several injuries. Hannah Bisu spoke with journalists after the chaos. Let's bring back her interview.
I want to put on record that any form of electoral violence, I condemn it. But let nobody ask me, a victim of our commission, to sympathize or empathize with it. I don't.
Stay back time.
No, if it were to be, no, you see, don't ask certain questions. If you say payback time, it means that I should have gone to slap her. I don't think she even deserves my slap. I'll be wasting my hands and my slap. But what I'm saying is that I'm a victim of our commission. She danced to it. She smiled, she laughed, and I was being beaten. What about those who were killed as a result of a violence at Kaswa? What will you say to their family members? So I don't think I'm the right person for anybody to tell me, oh, I feel sorry for our concern. Did she feel sorry for the one who was beaten? What makes her so special? That if she's been paid by who? Her own party, that I should start crying. I'm very busy. I'm going around, getting people and talking to people to come out and vote. That is my prime interest.
So that there was Hannah Bisu speaking to journalists after the violence. Well, the minority tonight is accusing her and Malik Basintali of celebrating the chaos that erupted during the Ablekuma North rerun election. Listen.
The most disturbing aspect of the Ablekuma North violence is not just the brutality itself, but the deliberate endorsement and celebration of these attacks by senior government officials. For example, Dr. Hannah Bisu, Louisa Bisu, National Women's Organizer of the NDC and CEO of the Minerals Development Fund, provided perhaps the most damaging response with her statement that violence begets violence, quote, end quote, and her suggestion that the brutal attacks were somehow justified. Even more shocking is the Facebook post by Malik Basintali, Acting Chief Executive Officer of the Youth Employment Agency and Deputy National Communications Officer of the NDC, who apparently celebrated the man who attacked Honorable Mavis Hawakumsun with a disturbing declaration, and I quote, "From today, I name him the Flying Python," end quote. He shall be, quote continues, "He shall be in charge of the 5K Air Force," end quote. This grotesque celebration of violence against a former member of parliament represents a new low in Ghana's political discourse. Both officials hold senior positions in President Mahama's government, and their inflammatory rhetoric actively undermines Ghana's democratic institutions. Their words embolden further lawlessness and signal to potential perpetrators that violence will be excused, justified, and even celebrated by the governing party.
Well, the MP for Etiwa West, Laurette Kojo Asante, on behalf of the MPP group in Parliament, is demanding that President John Mahama dismisses the two government officials to signal his abhorrence of electoral violence.
The President has clearly told the good people of Ghana that, just recently, about a week ago, that if you violate his whole code of conduct, you are going to feel sanctioned. By now, we should have seen a letter being issued dismissing Mr. Semje or suspending him pending further investigation. This is only the right thing to do. The immediate sanctioning of Mr. Semje as acting CEO of the Ghana Gold Board. Clearly, it is an affront on the code of conduct. It is against the Foreign Exchange Act. It is against the Currency Act of the country. And even though the Chief of Staff mentioned that ignorance of the law is not an excuse, Mr. Gyasi is never ignorant of the law. He's a lawyer of repute and understands clearly the action and the consequences of the action. So he ought to take responsibility for same.
Let's still stay in Parliament because the minority wants a full-scale investigation into the chaos in Ablekuma North. Let's now bring in our resident correspondent in Parliament, because in addition to targeting Malik Basintale and Hannah Bisu, the minority has also faulted the Ghana Police Service for the disturbances that marred the rerun. Well, Kweku Asante is joining us on the telephone lines with more. Kweku, they also accuse the police of fueling the chaos. Why?
Well, according to the minority, the police, despite being on the ground in their numbers, did not do anything to quell this violence, and in some instances were very helpless. They cite, for instance, the attacks on a journalist, another journalist from GH1, as testament to the fact that the police clearly had lost control of the situation in Ablekuma North.
The Ghana Police Service's response raises serious questions about their preparedness and commitment to protecting our electoral process. Security personnel were overwhelmed by the perpetrators, failing to prevent these attacks on political figures, party agents, and journalists. More concerning are allegations surrounding Chief Superintendent Lumor Frederick Senanu and his potential role in facilitating these disruptions. These allegations, if substantiated, would represent a grave breach of public trust and professional duty. The police service must demonstrate that they are capable of maintaining law and order during electoral processes, or their failure will continue to undermine public confidence in Ghana's security institutions. The targeting of journalists during the Ablekuma North Parliamentary rerun represents a particularly grave assault on press freedom. A Joy News reporter was physically assaulted, while GH1 TV journalist Ajekum Banahin was attacked by a police officer at the Church of Pentecost, North Odoko Polling Station 2. These attacks on media practitioners are fundamentally incompatible with democratic governance. Press freedom is a cornerstone of Ghana's democracy.
I still have Kweku Asante on the line with me. Kweku, the minority leader Alexander Afenyomakin is demanding a full-scale investigation into the chaos in Ablekuma North. Tell us more.
Yes, just gone by, the minority leader did make a statement on the floor demanding that this matter be escalated to a national situation for which a full-scale public investigation is warranted. According to him, this is one of the surest ways to ensure they do not recur. They have concerns that this consistent violence that has plagued elections since time immemorial is not helping Ghana's democracy and must be nipped in the bud as soon as possible.
These were not isolated events. This was a deliberate orchestration of violence across multiple polling stations. And what is even more troubling, Mr. Speaker, is that some officials have not only failed to condemn these acts, but have celebrated them openly and publicly. Mr. Speaker, for those public officers who have endorsed these political violence, I say that it's a breach of public trust and a dangerous precedent that undermines Ghana's democratic foundation. Equally disturbing are the growing concerns about the negligence of the Ghana Police Service. Allegations have surfaced implicating Chief Superintendent Lumo Frederick Senanu in facilitating this act. Whether by omission or commission, the police service failed to protect lives and the sanctity of the electoral process. The following: 1. A full-scale investigation into the matter, a full-scale prosecution of individuals that will be identified as perpetrators of the violence, a clear and unambiguous condemnation of the violence from government, including apologies to those who were particularly victimized. Chris Lloyd Ni Kwe, the Deputy National Organizer, Hawa Kumsin, and our candidate Nana Ekuefri.
Kweku, stay with me because we're still in Parliament, and this time away from Ablekuma North. The minority in the House say they have been vindicated after the price of fuel went up by nearly 10% at the pump following the implementation of the 1 cedi levy on every litre of fuel. Well, the minority warned at the time that a tax law was being considered in Parliament, that it will lead to increase in prices, despite the Finance Minister's insistence that it will not. Well, minority spokesperson on the economy, Kojo says the fuel price holds show the government does not listen.
So I think the first thing to note today is that the warnings that we gave from the minority caucus have today, unfortunately, seen the light of day. We warned that contrary to the government claim that this levy, this D-levy, will not increase fuel prices, it will increase fuel prices by 8% from day one. You remember the government went on and on and on. My brother John Jinapo was talking about the fact that it only takes an innovative government, a smart government, to be able to introduce a levy, and prices will not go up. The cat is out of the bag. Today, it's gone up by an average about 8%. That's the first point. The second point is that it's not just today. Because fuel price levels are not in our hands, any escalation on the global market, when it translates into a change in the price of the global price, will now further increase fuel prices here in Ghana. The third thing is that this is the time when, because of the strengthening of our currency, Ghanaians should have been enjoying relief. And the government is rather at this time introducing this levy in there and denying the people of Ghana this relief. And then finally, when you put a levy like this on fuel, fuel has a 100% cascading effect. It will affect transport. Eventually, when farmers are buying fuel for their tractors and their machines to work on their farms, it will affect it. It will then on go to affect transport of not just people, but food items, food prices. You will then see somewhere down the line, food prices will begin to experience a price escalation, and general price levels will go up by this 8% that they have introduced.
Kojo Nkrumah is the minority spokesperson on the economy. I still have Kweku Asante with me. Kweku, you asked for a response on the NEC's claim that despite an increase in prices, prices were still far below what the government inherited at the start of the year. What did they tell you?
Well, you will recall that at the start of the new year, fuel prices were hovering around 15 and 16 cedis. The point some NDC officials have sought to make is that despite the imposition of this 1 cedi levy on each litre of fuel, prices are still significantly below what it was just 6 or 7 months ago. Kojo Nkrumah says that argument is neither here or there.
Who knows, in a few days, a few weeks' time, you could have another challenge on the global market that will put the baseline price so high that your 13 or 12 won't matter anymore. That is why you've got to let the price levels reflect at a point where you have as minimal levies as possible, so that when disruptions come on the global market, your people are cushioned. That's what the government should allow the people to enjoy. They told us there will be no increases in prices. Today, prices have gone up by about 8%. We have said as a minority caucus, and we finished the analysis, levies on fuel aimed at recovering some sort of debt since when they were first introduced have outlived their usefulness in many instances. And we urged the government, when it first halted this, to use it as an opportunity to reconsider all of these levies and perhaps even simplify it. The government refused. We are going to bring to the attention of Parliament our analysis pretty shortly and draw attention and show the levies on fuel, because currently close to about 25 to 30% of the price that you are paying at the pump is levies. We're going to showcase to the country how many of those levies have even outlived their usefulness and ask the government to pull back on those levies so that the people of Ghana can benefit from the interventions that we have collectively done to bring this economy to where it is.
Well, so the 1 cedi levy on every litre of fuel took effect today, and there have been slight increase at the pumps today. And the CEO of the Chamber of Oil Marketing Companies, Dr. Riverson Opon, has been explaining why.
Yeah, I mean, petroleum prices going up, ideally between a range of 6 to 10%, depending on where you're going to buy your fuel from, and depending on which fuel you're going to buy. Obviously, diesel is going up a bit than petrol. This is due to the effect of the 1 cedi addition. Other than that, the fuel price might have even gone down by 2 to 3%. But due to this addition, we're going to see that increment translate into the S pumps from tomorrow.
Well, commuters have also been sharing their opinions on the new levy.
The intended purpose is the issue. If they will use it for what they say they will use it for, fine, we all pay. After whether we decide to pay or not, the levy is here. And whether you like it or not, you will pay. So you cannot decide that you will not pay. I'm just hoping that they use it for. And one thing I didn't like is the consultation wasn't much. So people didn't understand what I thought them suspending it. They would have used that opportunity to educate people.
You also commute from Newtown every morning?
Yes, please.
To Tema Station?
To Rage.
So how much do you pay for that?
5 cedis.
Oh, it's still the same 5 cedis?
It used to be 6 cedis, but now 5.
So no matter where you are getting off, you're still paying the same amount everybody's paying to the last stop, right?
Yes, please.
Okay. It means that if we're paying 1 Ghana cedis, you're going to pay more later if the drivers decide that they're going to put that burden or that amount of money on the passengers. Are you ready?
Well, I'm ready. Since the money they are taking is going to be for the betterment of our future, so I'm in for it.
Let's go once again on the telephone lines and speak to Richmond Roxon, who is the spokesperson and head of communications at the Energy Ministry. Richmond, you've had the minority, you've also had commuters. The minority said, "We told you so." The 1% or the 1 cedi levy took effect today, and already people are saying it's biting hard. Is this something that the ministry will, at a point, review, or it's going to be there forever?
Thank you very much once again. First, let me state what His Excellency the President said when he assented to the bill. He mentioned that this was a difficult but necessary decision. And I'll also use the opportunity to thank the good people of Ghana for the support. If I use the interviews you granted or your conversations with few people that you highlighted before calling, you would notice that generally there's a groundswell of support for this levy. Nobody likes to pay taxes or levies unless, of course, he or she is assured that the taxes are used prudently and then they are used for its intended purpose. The government has communicated clearly what this levy is for. It's for the energy sector shortfalls and debt repayment. Basically, because of the challenges we have with liquid fuels, which does not form part of the electricity tariff structure, and the debts that we have, this introduction is necessary to salvage the power sector. So, yes, I will thank the people of Ghana for the support. I'll thank the stakeholders, COMAC, the support groups, TUC, GPRT, for their support. And to the minority, it's unfortunate that those who have contributed significantly to the problem that we have today are the ones who are attempting to antagonize the government. Those who are fixing the problems today, rather, should be commended. They've tried to be very innovative. If you look at what the government has said, we understand that it has a potential effect on prices, as we've seen today. But these are difficult sacrifices that the government is asking the people of Ghana to, in order to ensure that we have a stable power sector. So the minority shouldn't be politics as usual. Kojo Ponkoma listed all the taxes. They were in government for 8 years. What did they do about it?
Roxanne, we know that this levy was supposed to be implemented weeks ago, but it was halted due to the then Iran-Israel conflict that has since come to an end, and now you've successfully implemented it, but you've already seen that prices are going up. I asked you earlier, is there going to be a time where government will say that we are reviewing it or totally scrapping it due to how the prices of fuel will either go up or down?
Absolutely. And so far, the government has showed that commitment already. If you recall, the implementation should have started first week in June. The first group that raised an issue had to do with COMAC. Their issue was not with the levy, it was the implementation plan. They thought that the time was too short because their members needed to raise some funding or extra funding to be able to take care of that. Subsequently, they have showed commitment that they are okay with it. And when prices were threatened by the Iran-Israel war, like you mentioned, His Excellency the President directed that the ministers for finance and energy and green transition should look at it, monitor, and ensure that the gains that have been made from January to June will not be eroded. That was done. The ministers stayed the decision. The government stayed the decision to implement. The monitoring was done. Extra consultations were made. And finally, the government decided to roll out today. So already the commitment of government is there to be able to defect the implementation date twice to tell you that at all material points in time, if there are extraneous factors that threaten the good people of Ghana, the government, led by the president and the energy minister, will definitely take a decision that will be in the interest of the people of Ghana.
So this is not something that's going to overburden Ghanaians, as the minority put it. That's what you're saying?
No, what I'm saying is that it is a sacrifice. Whether you're losing 1 peso, you're losing 10 cedis, you're losing 100 cedis, that is a sacrifice that the government is asking that both of us should burden share. Because if you look at where we were around January, prices were averaging around 17, and where we are today, some OMCs are doing 10, others are doing 11, others are doing 12 because of deregulation. There's some significant savings, and that is what government is saying that the people should sacrifice. And and once these sacrifices are made, like I mentioned, if the policy is threatened, the government will review it. Already, there are significant progress that we're making. On Sunday, where some people mischievously went to town that there's going to be national blackout, we had an increase in gas by 30 SCF. That's 30 million standard cubic feet. In the next few weeks, as the minister also mentioned, we're expecting an increase in gas from Jubilee. Already, we've increased natural gas from 80 SCF to 100 SCF, which is significant. So within the period, there's an increase of about 80 SCF,
right,
which will go a long way to support the power sector. And we're also looking at efficiency when it comes to the power sector supply chain.
All right.
Once all those come on stream, we are sure that the government will review the levy, and then if there's a need to drop it significantly or even reduce it by some I swear, definitely the government will take that decision.
Richmond Roxon, thank you very much. He's the spokesperson and head of communication at the Energy Ministry. Away from that, though, every year, countless Ghanaians in search of a place to call home fall prey to cunning swindlers posing as landlords and agents. As part of our Habitat series, my colleague Noella Karen Yale brings us the story of Bright Ewisi, a young man whose dream of starting married life in a new home was shattered after he was duped of over 18,000 Ghana cedis. It's a tale of hope, heartbreak, and a housing system that too often looks the other way.
It began with hope. Bright Ewisi, a hard-working young man, had saved diligently to secure a new beginning with his girlfriend.
I was preparing to get married, and then by then I was living in a chamber and hall. So I went online. I saw this 2-bedroom apartment at the Achimota area. The guy I got in contact with was the agent. I think the apartment was going for a 2,000, and then I asked for a reduction of 1,500.
Once Bright expressed interest, the agent offered to introduce him to the supposed landlord at his residence.
So just when we got there and I parked, then I saw the man coming out from his car in a rush, wearing those man's holding Bible. So he was like, sorry.
As expected, the meeting took place, but under rather unusual circumstances. In total, Bright paid 18,000 Ghana cedis advance payment.
I actually gave him cash.
Okay.
So I made the payments. He gave me a receipt. Right after collecting the money, they moved on a very top speed.
Like a punch to the gut, Bright was hit with the truth. The landlord's residence was actually a movie house.
So I got there, I'm like, oh, Pachomi, Mr. Eno. Then a guy looked at me and like, who is Mr. Eno? I a movie house.
Bright turned to the police for justice. Then a petition to the IGP.
That very moment, I went to Mile 7 police station. Before I got there, about 2 people had already been there to make complaint about them being about a similar issue.
Bright became his own detective, following digital footprint, asking questions and refusing to let go.
I just picked my petition and then I dropped it on Facebook. So the Safoa lady had a picture of the landlord. So she sent the picture to me to confirm if it's the guy. I said, yeah, that's the guy. When we got there, just when he saw me, he had to reverse. He was on a top speed. So he entered into a yard. Unfortunately for him, the place was blocked. So the only thing for him to do is to reverse and then come back. And there, the soldiers caught him.
But the financial loss was just the surface. The trauma of betrayal cuts deeper than the pocket.
Honestly, when this thing happened to me, I didn't feel like going to look for an apartment myself. So for some time now, when it comes to renting and I just don't want to get involved. I want someone else to do those processes for me.
For Bright Ewisi, it wasn't just about losing money. It was about losing trust, peace, and momentarily losing himself. It took relentless personal efforts for him to reclaim a portion of what was stolen from him. But not everybody is able to have the means or strength to do same. And until Ghana's housing system is cleaned up and better regulated, stories like Bright's will keep repeating. I'm Noella Karinyali, and this is for Joy News.
You can join the conversation on our WhatsApp platform. It's 055-1111-997. Share with us your thoughts and comments of the stories that we have discussed with you so far. What do you think about all these stories that we've spoken to you, we've delivered to you so far? And it's now time for business, and George Riafe is here with the latest. George, tell us more.
Well, coming up in business, the Monetary Policy Committee of the Bank of Ghana set to hold an emergency meeting tomorrow with a decision on the new policy rate that will be announced on Friday. And Cabinet approves private sector participation. Notice the Company of Ghana, as the Energy Minister insists, it is not a total privatization of the company. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one stop shop for all your office essentials, Synthesis tanks, and Pepsodent, Herbal, and Charcoal.
Momo. It has made life happen in lots of good ways.
Mr. Kwanzaa, Mr. Insurance claim no.
It has put together beautiful weddings. It has filled the bellies of boys at their favorite watchy joint.
My guy, stop. Who they chop cancel these days?
It has made millions of businesses possible.
No. We are back in business.
With just a few taps, money moves faster, easier, and safer. Momo understands the weight of your trust in us. We continuously enhance security with features like self-paying reset to help you protect your money. Momo will only call you with 0244 300,000. No MTN or Momo staff will call or ask for your PIN or one-time password. Do not transfer funds to anyone whose identity you have not verified. Do not approve any prompts you have not initiated. Momo, still Wunsaka.
M&C Group is a leading investment holding company with expertise in minerals and food commodity trading, precious minerals refinery, real estate development, and logistics and energy. With individually registered companies, our headquarters is located in Accra, Ghana, with operational offices in Dubai, UAE, Hong Kong, and Guangzhou in China, Johannesburg in South Africa, Virginia in the USA, and Milan, Italy. We connect business markets and drive growth. Trust us to maximize value in every deal. Call us on 0302 551 917 or 0302 551 918 or send us an email mncgroup@mncgroupgh.com. MNC Group, totally reliant.
Son, we are so proud of you for setting up this hospital. I really love those hospital beds and waiting chairs. By the way, did you import them?
No, Dad, I didn't. I actually got them from Kingdom Books and Stationery right here in Ghana.
Wow. We also bought our office supplies, safes, executive desks and chairs from Kingdom, and they gave us expert advice on how to set up our office.
Guys, that makes 3 of us. I also got our sofa and bedroom sets, plus our dining hall furniture for our new home from Kingdom.
Wow, Mom, that makes 4 of us. I usually get my stationery items from Kingdom, and my teacher also mentioned that our classroom furniture was provided by Kingdom.
So there you have it. Whenever you're thinking about setting up an office or acquiring furniture for your home, etc., Kingdom Books and Stationery should be your first port of call. With over 40 years experience in the industry, we stock and supply a wide variety of globally sourced office and home furniture, stationery and equipment. Visit our head office,
Takweje, Osu near the Osu Cemetery, Temania Community 4, Takoradi opposite Vijay Mays Plaza, Cape Coast University Bookshop, Spintex Road near Absa Bank, Atomic Centerpoint Mall, Winneba University Campus, KNUST, the University Bookshop, and Santasi in Kumasi. You can also visit our shop online, www.kingdomstoreonline.com. Hurry while stock lasts. For further inquiries, contact us on 050-162-0810 or 0302-764-101. Email info@kingdomgh.com. Kingdom Books and Stationery Limited, where quality and affordability is assured. Terms and conditions apply.
Cavity protection.
This advert is FDA approved.
Every mosquito standing run away. Oh, come on, tonton preko. Sasso, me se come tonton preko. Oh, come on, tonton preko. Sasso.
kumtonton preko na ni sham ne de edem stronko.
This advert is FDA approved.
You're welcome back to Business on Newsnight. Now, the Monetary Policy Committee of the Bank of Ghana has announced that it would hold an emergency meeting that is tomorrow, July 17. Now, this was contained in a notice issued by the Bank of Ghana earlier today. There is more in this report.
This might be the second time the Bank of Ghana has revised the date for its Monetary Policy Committee meeting this month. Last week, it had announced a change in the date to the end of this month for the gathering for members of the committee. At that time, it was linked to the fact that the date was clashing with that of the media budget review by the finance minister. So for some, it was interesting that the date has been moved again to this Thursday, July 17, 2025, whilst the policy decision will be announced on July 18, 2025. Sources say the Bank of Ghana now believes that the data about the economy and monetary development should be made known to the public now. This actually breaks the convention or call it tradition, where the Monetary Policy Committee meeting is held after the media budget review. But is the Bank of Ghana going to respond to the current pressure for policy rate cut? Well, the reaction has been mixed based on our engagement with some of the members of the Monetary Policy Committee. While some are for a rate cut to respond to the current market development like the inflation reduction, others think that they should still wait for a while. The IMF in its latest staff report is pushing for further policy rate tightening, especially at the time that it has also revised its end-year inflation rate target to 8% from the previous target of 12%. Inflation currently stands at 13.7%, so one is not sure whether the policy rate will be cut from the current 28% or maintained.
And that is a business desk report. Meanwhile, several businesses, the joy businesses engaged, are pushing for a policy rate cut. Chief Executive of the Private Enterprise Federation, Anose Bonsu, has maintained that the Bank of Ghana hasn't got any excuse than to cut the rate by some significant margin.
Policy rate drives the rates of interest charged by the respective banks. And the policy rate is the basis on which they build their differentials on. So if the policy rate is still up there, and today is what, 28 from 29 beginning of 2024, March is 28, it went to 27, and so obviously Bank of Ghana should tell us something. Why are they maintaining a policy rate at this level?
It should go down.
It should go. Inflation was 23.5. We were at 27 policy rate, and it's now 13.7, almost 50% off. And we still have 28, just 100 basis points below. That is way too much. So we would appreciate if Bank of Ghana would share why they're still maintaining the 28 policy rate at this time.
Anose Bonsu is the Chief Executive of the Private Enterprise Federation. Now, Cabinet has finally given its approval for what it describes as private sector participation in the Electricity Company of Ghana. Energy and Green Transition Minister John Jinapua announced this when he took his turn at the Accountability Series engagement at the Flagstaff House today.
And let me put on record, we are not selling ECG. What we are seeking to do is to involve the private sector, particularly in the billing and collection sector. And I encourage Ghanaians to take a keen interest in this. We have good Ghanaian entrepreneurs, good Ghanaian businessmen. This is an opportunity for you. Get involved and help us to bring about improvement in the sector. Ladies and gentlemen, as part of further measures, we've gone to Parliament to seek approval to restrain government from procuring IPPs in a direct negotiation. So now if we want power from IPPs, we have to advertise.
The minister has also announced that the government is in discussion with some of the major oil exploration firms like ExxonMobil that will see their return to Ghana. So let's hear the minister again, who's also highlighted some significant development in the oil exploration sector.
On increasing our petroleum reserves and promoting local content. Our efforts, as I've stated, has begun to yield positive results. We are committed to building a business-friendly environment. We are working with Springfield. We are working with ENI. So far, as you may be aware, the unitization debacle, we've resolved it. We are also working with Talo to settle our issues out of court. We are in arbitration. We lost the first case. We don't want to get to the second level. We believe that we can sit around the table and resolve our differences amicably. On the ECG containers, I have received approval from the Chief of Staff, and just this morning, I had a very fruitful meeting with the Minister of Finance. All the containers that have been identified so far, we are constituting a task force led by the Deputy Minister of Energy, with Customs, with GRA, with National Security, and all the relevant agencies, ECG, on board that committee. We intend to establish a custom-bonded warehouse where we would evacuate all the containers to that custom-bonded warehouse, take all the stock and reconcile with all the figures to determine the exact amount of containers that have been retrieved. We'll also go through cabinet to.
That's the Minister of Energy and Green Transition, John Jinakpo. In a related development, government is being urged to exercise some caution over the private sector participation in the Electricity Company of Ghana. Executive Director of the Center for Environmental Management and Sustainability Energy, Benjamin Nsia, says government must first concentrate on dealing with the structural issues facing the company.
Because if it is rushed, we may fail at the end of the day, because other countries rushed and failed. We need specific time. We need new laws, because the government has made us aware that they are likely going to merge NEDCO and ECG and create certain boundaries. And within these boundaries, we zonalize and then resell power to these private sector participants. We need to address that. I think that within the shortest possible time, government must be clear on how they are going to address the commercial losses and the already existing debt in the power sector.
And that is the Executive Director of the Environmental Management and Sustainability Energy, Benjamin Nsia. And that's all for Business on Newsnight. Back to you, Kenneth.
George, don't go yet. We understand there's an emergency MPC meeting coming up tomorrow. What are we to expect?
Well, if we should have our way, there should be a cut. But there are some members on the committee that are also worried about whether the external development could also affect the economy. I mean, inflation has come down significantly. The producer price has dropped significantly. There's a likelihood that inflation is going to go down significantly again next month. And all the indicators, favors the policy cut. Are we going to see a significant cut, or they will maintain it? It's $1 billion or $1 trillion question out there.
We hope there is a cut. Well, thank you very much, George. It's now time for sports, and Musbao, whose Chelsea won, was it how many days ago? 10 days ago?
No, it's still 10 days ago. Today's Wednesday, so just 3 days ago.
Seems like forever.
3 days ago. 3 days ago. Yeah, 3 days ago. So
what's up?
Some update from Pram, where the under-20 Waffle B tournament, boys tournament, is underway. Ghana is participating in it, and they play today against Benin. They won by 1-0. Guess what? Ghana was a man down. They got a red card somewhere in the second half, but they still managed to get a victory, and it means that they've made it to the semi-finals now and in pole position to potentially win the trophy. The Black Queens are also in action all the way in Morocco in the Women's AFCON. So good result from Ghana's national teams. My colleague Joseph Ayinga-Walter was at Pram and has more in this report.
Ghana's U20 side secured a 1-0 win against West African counterparts Benin in the final group match of the Wafubi Boys Cup. A well-executed low strike in the second half from Golden Case striker Bless Edge was enough to send the team into the semi-final, despite Ghana going down by a man in the first half. Mediama Sporting Club winger Kelvin Nkrumah was shown a red card, reducing the Satellites to 10 men. The Black Satellites, however, face a tough test in the semi-final, with their likely opponents being Ivory Coast. Head coach Desmond Ofer remains optimistic about the team's chances, even after a challenging start to the tournament.
Show character today. They worked really hard. Like I said, this is something that the team needed. So we're really happy that in such occasions, the team and the players can rise to the occasion. And in the end, it was a good goal. We are very happy. We also have to give up to Benin because they didn't give us an easy game. And we tried everything to manage it, and we did it really well. So for our boys, it's really good for them, good experience. And they can only get better. We can only get better for the next round.
Yeah, and you just had Desmond Ofer, the head coach, in the latter part of that report. So, Ken, good news for the respective national teams. The Black Queens, importantly, they were playing on Saturday. They're playing. They've got big quarterfinal game coming up on Saturday, and we're rooting for them. It's going to be if they make it to the semi-finals, it's really historic because in fact in the quarterfinals, the first time in 9 years they're playing the quarterfinals. So it's a big deal for them, and hopefully they will turn up on Saturday. That's it.
It's always refreshing to hear that the other national teams, apart from the Black Stars, are performing for the country.
Well, Black Stars are in good position at the moment. They've got about 4 games left to qualify to the World Cup. They're top of their group. So at the moment, the Black Stars have won our hearts, and we are rooting for them so that whether you go to Mexico, you go to Canada, you go to USA, wherever you find yourself, I'm sure Papa New will be happy with it.
Yeah, we want to go there. Thank you very much, Ms. Val, for bringing us the latest in sports. And here are a few of your messages you've been sending to us. This one says, on the 1 cedi levy on a gallon of fuel, I think the MPP, which has plunged the country into all financial and economic mess, are the same people criticizing it. This is Ruben from Baworo. And this one says the MPP minority should give us a break. We Ghanaians have not forgotten what happened at Ayawaso West Wagon, how they treated journalists, beat people, and slapped citizens, and St. George. Even the white paper issued by the Ayawaso West Wagon Commission was ignored. And then this one says they should give us a break. Increasing of petroleum products is not coming from the government. Neither is it the fault of the current government. No matter how they describe it, it won't change the minds of Ghanaians. And let's bring you some other stories tonight, because the Energy Minister, John Jinapor, says the government has paid independent power producers more in the last 6 months than the previous administrations did throughout last year. Well, this follows a raft of policy interventions introduced by the government, including strict enforcement of the cash waterfall mechanism by ECG. Well, taking his turn at the Government Accountability Series at the Jubilee House, Dr. Jinapor said the energy sector is beginning to witness significant improvements as a result of these initiatives.
To bring about efficiency and compliance, in February 2025, I directed that ECG fully complies with the cash waterfall mechanism. I also directed that they operate a single holding account, and also directed that that account should be opened with the Ghana Commercial Bank, a state-owned bank. I'm happy to announce that all that has been complied with. This is ensuring that so far there's constant flow of cash to electricity generators, fuel suppliers, Gridco, VRA, and all the other power sector players. This has also contributed largely to the stable power that we currently experience. The mechanism puts in place to ensure that there's some minimum guarantee when it comes to payments to the IPPs. And if you check this year as against last year, by the middle of the year, we've paid to IPPs an amount far exceeding what was paid to IPPs the whole of last year. And so in the first 6 months, the amount paid exceed what was paid the whole of last year. And it's because of the prudence and the stringent measures that we've put in place. We are not out of the woods in its entirety, but at least we are seeing significant progress. And if we continue on this trajectory, I'm confident that this sector will see real improvement. Under the instructions of His Excellency the President, I've been directed to review the cash waterfall mechanism allocation to increase efficiency, transparency, and equity in its operations. We are making some additional savings, and we want to ensure that those savings are applied in a judicious and efficient manner to bring about overall efficiency in the sector.
Well, let's talk about illegal mining now, because the governing NDC's vice chairman, Yakubu Abangal Hassan, has forcibly rejected allegations linking him to illegal mining activities. He is one of 2 national executives cited in a high-profile illegal mining investigation. Well, the Attorney General has instructed the Economic and Organized Crime Office, YOCO, to investigate Yakubu Abanga and Joseph Yamin following claims outlined in a report by Professor Frimpong Boateng on illegal mining. Well, in response, Yakubu Abanga expressed his readiness to cooperate fully with investigations to clear his name, emphasizing he has never participated in any mining activities, whether legal or illegal.
I have never been involved in any illegal mining activity at any point. These are allegations. These allegations are baseless. And they are malicious and calculated attempts to tarnish my hard-earned reputation, my sister. As of today, I have not received any official communication from the EU. But should I be invited, I will avail myself and assist in any way necessary to bring clarity to the matter.
But why do you think your name will come up? It's not random, I guess. I don't think they sat there and randomly picked your name and said you are involved in illegal mining activities.
This is politics, and it's sometime a game anyway, how you call it. They mentioned my brother with the national organizer of the party, Honorable Joseph Yamin, alongside that we have up and then form a task force going around the country to extort money from licensed miners or illegal miners through to court. I don't know. Then besides, we are into Galamsey. And there is no iota of truth in these allegations.
Let's get onto the telephone lines once again and speak to Dr. Ken Ashigbe, who is the convener of the Media Coalition Against Galamsey. Dr. Ashigbe, thank you for your time. You've long called for action against the people behind legal mining. Do you see this latest probe by the government as a genuine shift, or is just a political window dressing, you say?
Well, good evening. I think that it's important to state that the Ghana Coalition Against Galamsey, we had written to His Excellency the President wanting to meet him. And then he had asked that we meet the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources first. So that meeting was had. And in that meeting, one of the major causes of Galamsey that we wanted the government to deal with was the issue of politically exposed persons who are involved in Galamsey. And we all know, and especially for us, the Media Coalition, it's a matter of, side knowledge that a lot of the Galamsey is done by politically exposed persons. And so this call from the Attorney General is not coming from a vacuum. It's definitely coming from all the pressure that had been put together by the coalition and other people on this particular issue. And so I am happy that at least we've had this call and it's an investigation that is supposed to be done. And not only that, it's also calling for those mentioned in Professor Boate's report. It's one of the things we've always been talking about. Then also, we would want to remind the Attorney General and then also the state apparatus that we have a petition against the NDC MP for our win.
Okay.
He was being accused by his chiefs of being involved in Galamsey. He says it's not true. He counter-accuses the chiefs. That also needs to be looked at.
Okay.
There's also the issue of the NDC constituency chairperson for Axim, who is also being accused of involved in Galamsey, trespassing on the land of some large-scale miners. There is also the NDC constituency chairperson for Dunkwa. He was accused on, and it was live on Joy FM when Erastus, one of the Erastus, where he was confronting a legally mandated task force who had gone in to deal, asking that he's not being informed and all of that.
Right.
So all of these politically exposed persons need to be dealt with.
Okay.
If we want to really resolve the issue of Galamsey, the illegality and irresponsibility, we need to make sure we're doing this. So,
right. Okay, Dr. Kenneth Ashigbe there is the convener of the coalition against Galamsey. Ghana Senior High School is back in the NSMQ Nationals after stepping in for Sakago HTS, who pulled out of the Northeast Regional Qualifiers. Well, the Tamale-based school made the most of the opportunity, scoring 59 points to top the contest and maintain their unbeaten qualification record. Well, although Pumburugu SHTS came second with 23 points, they qualified to represent the Northeast region at both the zonal and national championships, since Ghana SHS hails from the Northern region. And we will bring you more on our NSMQ qualifiers in our subsequent bulletin. But that ends it for News Night tonight. My name is Kenneth Gyasi. Up next
Hi,
is...
Kenneth.
Hi.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too. How are you doing?
I'm
It's been
very
a while.
well, thank you. Yes, it has. Yes, it has. So strong and sassy.
Right, what
you
are you
see
discussing
me, I'm
tonight?
asking the questions to answer.
What's
It's
on
bad,
strong and sassy
So
tonight?
today we're talking about what it takes to really be successful. You know, like we talk about the hustle. Like, oh, Charlie, at the hustle, at the hustle, at the hustle. But, you know, at some point you want to move from at the hustle to I'm counting the money.
Right, a
You
soft
buy-
life.
Yeah. Well, soft, hard.
You know,
as long as there's
enjoying
money.
the fruits of your labor.
Exactly. So tonight's conversation is, you know, transitioning from the hustle into the
Is that
enjoyment
why
thereof.
Kofi has been seated here for the past 30 minutes?
I suspect so that he can pick up a few pointers, but perhaps also to look at my beautiful face.
Oh, yes.
Yes,
I agree.
Indeed.
I agree.
So do tune in. Strong and Sassy is coming up next. We're also live on Facebook, so you can go on there. Thank you so much.
Thank you, too. Take us away.